welcome everybody to Spin Legal. It is not November the 15th, it is November the 25th. Okay, so let's put that one back out there. Yep, so welcome everybody. It's November 25th, and this is episode 93 of Spin Legal with Angela and myself, and we are partners at Invictus Legal LLP. And tonight we're going to be talking about Pedigree Animals. So if you need to contact Invictus Legal LLP, you can do so on 905-688-5598. Email Angela through angela@weareinvictus.legal, or myself through peter@weareinvictus.legal, or our website is weareinvictus.legal. So a question that was given to us was, how do I know that an animal I'm buying from a breeder is purebred and follows the ethical guidelines? That's a very good question, and we've had a couple of legal cases relating to such questions.
Exactly, and it's an interesting question because, like out there, I mean, people breed animals.
Yep.
It's a perfectly legal thing to do, and there are associations out there that represent breeders of animals, and then there's regulations under the Pedigree Act federally that govern the animals, the purebred animals, to ensure that that breeds are registered and that they're identified correctly, and that people who are buying these animals are not buying mutts when they're told that they're buying a purebred.
Yeah. They want to, and part of the idea about the Pedigree Act, as I say, the Canadian Pedigree Act governs the rules here, and part of the idea about the Pedigree Act is it applies to a wide range of animals. You know, obviously, most people will think about their cats, their dogs, their horses, and things like that. But there's a wide variety of animals that are covered by Pedigree Act rules, and
each animal has its particular organizing body for it.
Yeah.
Equine Ontario, Canada Kennel Club, Cat Fanciers Association, whatever it is that you're looking at.
And I can't promise you there's a Tarantula Association of Canada, but
gerbils. There might be something for gerbils. There has to be.
Well, that's possible, but I can't promise you that every animal is covered in this, and certainly what will not be covered will be animals that are not whose import to Canada is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
For example, tortoises, I believe, now are currently illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Or
T-Rexes.
Sorry?
T-Rexes.
Yeah, come look at my Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, it's purebred as you can get.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
It'll bite your head off if you look at it. Yeah.
And evolved into a bird over time.
Yeah. Okay, so many of such animals that are purebred are used at as show animals. For example, we've heard of the Westminster Kennel Club, which takes kennel show that takes place in New York. There's actually one in London as well, Crufts, that takes place in London. These are all about purebred dogs, and they are big shows, and there's big money for some of those prizes for some of those shows, some of the top shows. And hey, if you want to go and and breed dogs, well, I suggest you do a lot of research into it first, right?
Yeah, like you can breed dogs, you can show dogs, or just buy a purebred.
Yeah. So in fact, actually, whilst I say many are used as show animals, not all are necessarily show animals. But again, you may have an animal that is partially owned by a person, but partially owned by the homeowner, and is partially owned by a show owner, person who shows the animal.
Yeah, like maybe you might have a breeder. You might have a relationship with the breeder, and then the breeder would you would go in with one of the animals, and then they would have one of their animals breed, and they would create an animal for you, and then they would be part owner and you'd be part owner of
Yeah.
that new animal.
But there are ways, and we'll cover this later on, there are
Yeah.
ways in which you must actually register said animals. And we'll talk about animal registration at
Mhm.
a later point. So, primarily, the Pedigree Act creates rules involving the incorporation of animal pedigree associations. And as I said, we mainly think of, in these purposes, the majority of animals we think about in terms of purebred would be dogs, cats, and horses. But as I say, if you're an alpaca or if you're an alpaca lover or something like that, or there's probably breeders' associations in relation to that.
Sheep.
Sheep. Well, yeah, actually, why not? Why
Yeah.
not? Sheep are not just for the mountains,
Yeah.
We had this kid when I went onto an outward bound course in Dartmoor. This kid decided it was his task for the day to capture a sheep.
Oh.
And he's like 3 foot nothing. He was about a foot shorter than the rest of us, and he goes running off into the distance and comes back later, an hour or so later, with the sheep in his hand. The leader told him to, promptly to put it down and get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, it's always very interesting because these are very common, like particularly if you're looking at show animals, it's usually
Yeah,
horses, dogs, and cats. And I've been to cat shows, I've been to dog shows. I did watch one equestrian event one time, and I do know people who own animals, who own
yeah,
horses, and they love it. They love taking their horses to different events and
yeah,
various things, and it's all part of a community.
yeah.
Eh?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, the main purpose of the associations is really to keep pedigrees and identify animals. So part of that is that, for example, if we're talking about dogs, um, anybody who knows anything about dogs will know that there's probably dozens of breeds of dogs. And so you've got German shepherds, you've got collies, you've got um, um, bull terriers, and all manners of dogs. And I
Mhm.
couldn't even think about any. I couldn't even mention probably even a tenth of the names of the dogs because I don't know them,
Yeah.
right? But the idea of that is that you understand that what makes each um, type of animal. So, for example, a bull terrier. What are the characteristics of a bull terrier? You should, so that is defined by the Kennel Club of Canada, and will define what all bull terriers should be like in Canada. If you were talking about
Mhm.
bull terrier,
And they
so
have their own association that works with people who own and breed bull terriers.
yeah, some individual animals do have their own associations that are connected to the Kennel Club as well, for
Yeah.
example. And
Yep. And then
it
they
happens a
then
lot.
they will kind of promote the ownership and the care
Yeah.
and,
And it
and
happens a lot with dogs. Like you've got corgis and poodles, and they've all got their own fanciers.
yeah, exactly. Like my
Associations.
father-in-law would not go to the shelter to adopt an animal. He'll go out and buy his own dog from breeders.
Yeah.
They're very reputable breeders in the area. Most of them are breeders who would do cockapoos or Shih Tzus, and very, very beautiful animals.
So we could have a Shih Tzu under my arm on the show,
Yeah,
because they're an under the arm dog, aren't they?
yeah, they could be very small, but also they can get larger too. Hey, the dog that my father-in-law has, it's more a combination between a cocker spaniel and a poodle,
Hmm.
and very active. It's still in its puppy stage, jumping
Well,
all over the place.
Well, as you know, we were talking about this beforehand. So, so one of the things that I went looking up my cat, and I found out that because he was actually he looked like a breed, so he looked like a La Perm breed, and so which is a long head animal, which basically they have curly hair, or their hair looks like it's permed, right? Curly or wavy hair,
Yeah.
and he, when he was young, had very tight curls, and he grew older, he had more wavy hair.
Or my old orange Maine Coon. Big
Yeah,
orange Maine
yeah,
Coon.
yeah. And again, so there's a lot of differences between cats, and there's a lot of differences between dogs, and it's possible to get even relatively purebred dogs that are not done by a purebred breeder, who I suppose fall in the category of what we commonly call mutts, don't they?
Mutts. Yeah. Or a pooch.
Yeah, and perfectly good animals, loving,
Yeah.
homely animals who will love to live in your dining room there, Angela. They'll spread themselves across the couch that you've got in your background.
Mhm.
They'll even play the piano or try to play the piano.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
My cats would do that.
Cats would do that. Cats would be inside the wires in that piano, wouldn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Right?
And the thing is, animals are like that. And the thing is, it's how you raise the animals. A lot of people think that certain types of breeds of dogs, for example, are naturally vicious. And that's why a lot of people go out and try to ban certain animals, such as our pit bulls in Ontario, which I felt was a very unfortunate piece of legislation. I've met many, many pit bulls in my lifetime. Not a single one of them
Yeah.
ever looked a vicious eye toward me. They're very friendly, very, very caring, very protective, and very social.
Yeah, and there are rules about vicious animals, right?
Hmm. Some,
So
yeah, like if you have a dog that has attacked or has bitten, they could be forced to wear a muzzle.
yeah, yeah, and in the most extreme circumstances, they can also be put down.
Yeah, exactly. Like if say if they went in and they hurt an animal, like seriously, or a human being or a child, they could be put down, or they're usually put in quarantine to test if they got rabies or anything. And also the person who got bitten, if it's not a known dog or they don't know if it's the animal had rabies, they would have to possibly vaccinate the individual against rabies because that is always a risk. Although most people who are responsible dog owners or cat owners even will get their proper shots so that these things do not become an issue.
Uh, Dangerous animal. And there are a number of laws associated with dangerous animals in Ontario. For example, the Dog Owner Liability Act. More often you see, it associated with dogs. Dog Owners Liability Act allows for dogs to be designated as dangerous, um, or possess have a behavior that poses a threat to the public.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah,
as you said,
exactly. If you let your dog run out at large,
yeah,
goes out and bites somebody, and then somebody figures out the dog is yours,
yeah,
there could be problems.
yeah. So
Okay?
in fact,
There's
actually,
rules about it, how you have to deal with dogs.
yeah,
I
and
always tell people that they're going to get a dog, raise the dog from a puppy, be as friendly and loving and caring as possible, socialize them so they don't need to bark, bark, bark at everything.
yeah,
Okay?
oh
Teach
yeah,
them how to meet other dogs, meet children, meet adults, meet other people that are in the neighborhood. And the thing is, gradually, that dog becomes more friendly and
yeah,
knows what a threat is and what isn't a threat.
Absolutely, and particularly more with dogs than with cats, because cats tend to rule the roost. This is my home. I'm
Mhm.
letting you in here, human being. You behave to my rules,
Yeah.
and be careful about it.
Yeah, that's like dogs have owners and cats have staff.
Yeah, that's about
Mhm.
right. You know, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's 1/4 past hair. What are you? You're late, and you
Well, I come home from grocery shopping, the cats immediately want to go through each of the bags until they find out where their treats are.
Yeah, yeah, that's what. Well, actually, the funny thing is that Melody, our Ceramics that we had, she's unfortunately dead now. She figured out that she could open the cupboard door, pick up the pack, and she could bring it to us.
I
Right?
had a cat, I could have swore he had opposable thumbs to open up those treat bags.
Yeah. Well, she brought the bag to us and said, "Come on, time to feed me."
Yeah.
Hey, that's like the life of having a cat. All right. So what else? Where else am I now? Okay.
The nice
So
thing about cats is that they protect you from mice and other rodents.
well, the thing about many animals is that they do, even dogs. You don't buy a dog really because it keeps the vermin at bay. But the fact that a dog is present is often a bit of a deterrent for something like a
Yeah.
mouse to come around anyway.
We have 4 cats. They don't stand a chance.
I think they would. I would not think they would. Okay, so for dogs, So we're talking about associations. For dogs, this is the Kennel Club of Canada, a Canadian kennel club that governs breeding practices. For Equestrian Canada covers horse breeding. Now, I'm sure there are breeds of horses as well. I don't know anything about how horses and horse breeds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But associations issue certificates for registration, identification, and for the transfer of ownership. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
each of these associations, like Equestrian Canada or Equestrian Ontario, will deal with the registration and transfer of ownership for any animal owner.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before you buy, understand what those rules are, because you'll have to go through it. So if you're buying a
Yeah.
purebred animal, there's a lot on your shoulders to actually go and understand, right? And most of what we're talking about here is just common sense and the basic rules rather than legal rules. But I
Yeah,
would
and it's
say,
basically knowing the animal.
yeah,
Okay, understanding how the animal works, how the animal may behave, how you need to treat the animal, how you train the animal, that sort
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
And most of all, how to be kind to the animal.
Yeah, and you'll have to familiarize yourself with the association for the animal that you want to acquire, own, etc. Um, and and
And people who are part of that association of the particular breed that you want to own are very good resources that can give you information on how to raise them properly, how to socialize them properly, how to feed them, what's best for them, and that sort of thing.
yeah,
So there's lots of information out there for any animal, any kind of breed that you want to that you're interested in purchasing.
yeah. And for example, and it has to also be said, since that question at the very beginning was one of how to know whether the animal I'm buying from a breeder is actually a purebred and follows ethical guidelines. That's the original question we were asking.
Yep.
So it's incumbent upon you, if you're intending to buy such an animal, that you familiarize yourself with the rules of the breed, the characteristics of the breed, so you understand what
Hmm.
it is.
And get
And
its paperwork.
yeah,
There's always paperwork when you're dealing with breeding associations.
Yeah. And being a breeder, being in a breeding association doesn't mean that they're necessarily an ethical breeder.
Yeah,
Some are actually just in it for the money.
which is a really sad thing because to me, animals are life, and they're sentient beings, and to just kind of breed them off for money, that's a very selfish thing to do.
Yeah. And it also has to be said there are many backyard breeders who are not registered at all. But that said, backyard breeder doesn't necessarily mean it's not a purebred
Doesn't
dog.
mean they're bad, that they're
Yeah,
bad people. It's just that they have chosen not to register their breeding practices.
yeah,
Maybe they just want to have one litter
yeah,
and then sell the pups.
yeah.
Right? I mean, people have got into that or got into an unexpected situation, and that sometimes happens.
Well, and the dog that person may have might be a genuine corgi, for example, if that was
Yeah.
what you fancy. The only trouble is you have no backing of the kennel club, for example, that it is a corgi,
Mm-hmm.
or any corgi fanciers association. They may be able to tell you that 98% probability it is a corgi, but
The
nobody's
late
going to.
queen would be able to tell you.
Pardon me?
The late queen would be able to tell us because she had corgis.
Yeah, I know. An expert in that particular breed she was.
Yeah.
But she was actually an interesting lady insofar as she decided when she was in her 70s that she said, as my animals die, I will not be getting new ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So basically, she said there's a social responsibility as an animal owner that you outlive your animal.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't want to foresee what would happen. And it's not to say that, hey, Charles would be any different, bad to the corgis, but they were the Queen Elizabeth's corgis, not
Mm-hmm.
King Charles's corgis, right? And so she was not going to burden Charles and leave the animals in a bad way. So that she decided she was not going to have, Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I said, many backyard breeders, the only thing may have perfectly good animals. They'll be good for your home, good for your family, but they won't be registered. So you won't get a certificate to say this is a genuine
Wouldn't get
one.
a show dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
And you
what you
won't
want.
get a show.
Might want to get a nice pet. That might be a way to do it.
Yeah.
Like my father-in-law, he gets these beautiful animals. He's had so many beautiful animals
Yeah.
over a series of time, and now he's got Daisy, who's a dog, cockapoodle.
I'd also say to anybody who's interested in it, if you're looking for a particular breed, you need to know the animal, its traits, how it behaves, etc., the good and the bad about the animal. And I'm not, and I say that from the viewpoint of the health of the animal, because some breeds have health problems. So you need to understand what those potential health problems are,
Mhm.
in order to understand whether.
Sometimes when you have some really very good breeders, they actually know about some of the health problems and they try to breed them out,
Yeah.
the animals. So it's very interesting, though, that some of them will do that. Hey, so they're trying to look for a healthier way. So they'll mix it with a type of animal that doesn't typically have that health issue,
Yeah.
and then they can make that animal potentially quite healthier and live longer.
Yeah. The other question you do with a breeder is you should check whether they're registered, how long they've been doing it, and have a look at their facilities.
Yeah, any reputable breeder will allow you to come visit their facilities.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So thank you. A reputable breeder will be open to inspection, and even if they haven't got even if there's no animals being bred at the current time,
Yeah.
right? They should be open to actually show you how they do it, what they do, right? And even with registered breeders, let's be honest, there are good breeders and bad. So you've got to satisfy yourself that the breeder you choose has got good practices.
Yeah. Talk to friends who are
Yeah.
also interested in that type of animal or who own that type of animal. Where did you get that dog? Who bred it? That sort of thing.
Hmm.
Find out from what that friend says about the quality of breeder that they purchased. Thing.
I would think about going to several breeders and just asking around about what they do, what that how I can get a whatever animal that you wish to get.
Yeah, and be very clear that if you're going to go to a really good breeder, they usually limit the types of dogs they breed or the types of animals they breed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you don't go to a breeder and
Oh, they're not.
they
They're
breed
not.
50 different types of dogs. They don't do
No.
that.
They maybe have one type of dog, maybe two types of dogs that they
Yeah,
breed.
like I know someone who does bull terriers, and I know another one who does Irish wolfhounds.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
And these are all dogs that are very, very specific breeding practices.
Yeah.
And people will go to them and say, "Okay, I would like to have your next one of the litter from your next set of pups." Right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the things you should do before you actually walk off with an animal, you should get a vet check done if you're intending to buy.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you don't know, because some breeds have inherent illnesses. Has nothing to do with the breeder, but it's just sometimes certain breeds have certain illnesses.
Yep.
Get informed.
Yeah, and for example, there's some breeds out there that have are known to have hearing problems, and other breeds that have that have other problems. And if you know the breed and you know the particular types of problems, you should know in advance whether the animal that you're buying has got has got any trait problems for that breed.
Yeah, because for example, there are certain types of huskies. Okay, they can get back leg problems, really serious arthritis,
Mm.
and they have to have joint replacements.
Yeah.
Okay, which could be expensive surgery. So if you're not in the market to pay for expensive surgery, you may want to consider that. Okay, so there's a lot of different things to talk to your vet about and to see if this is something you'd be prepared to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Taking an animal home, adopting it, is a lifetime choice.
Yeah. And absolutely, it's not a way we're going to keep them for 6 weeks. No, not
Yeah,
that's not
it's not something you put under the Christmas tree and then after New Year's you get sick of it and bring it back to the shelter. You
right.
don't do that because that's absolutely rude. That's cruel.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, I don't know if I told you, but we found a cat that came up to our door, which I don't quite know how. He was original when we took him to um, uh, to the animal shelter. They basically checked, and that animal was chipped, and they gave us the approximate location where that animal came from is at least 10 minutes down the road from us. And the only supposition that they could draw was that somebody had dropped off that animal in our vicinity because they were trying to get rid of it.
Oh God, that's
Uh,
bad.
we had to take it to the shelter because of the fact that our cat didn't like it.
The two didn't get along.
They didn't get along. She was like, no, take this animal away from here.
Mm-hmm.
One.
That was like I have my daughter's cat, Pumpkin.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful tortoiseshell. Hey, calico. Hey, gets in there and very friendly to humans and cuddles up with humans. But when she sees another cat, shh,
Yeah.
can't have them together.
Yeah, so she can't get on with cats. And
Right.
and Melody got on well with cats, but she just didn't like this particular individual cat. And it was, I don't know whether it makes any difference, but they were both females.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, this also too was before we got pumpkin spaded.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she might have a different temperament now. I don't know,
Yeah.
but she's kept indoors, and I've told them to keep the cat indoors because
Yeah.
I prefer keeping cats indoors because there's too many risks out there.
And by the way, while we were talking about breeders, right? Um, sometimes sometimes with breeders, if you're buying an animal through a breeder, there may well be actually a breeding agreement. So you buy said animal, you take it home, you the breeder has the right to be able to breed that animal at a later stage. They may also be a show animal, so maybe they have the right to show that animal. But in all cases by this, and I'm going to give you here's some specific advice, but which is absolutely bona fide. So if you are asked to breed animals, you must be the first owner on the paperwork.
Absolutely.
Always the first owner on the paperwork, right? Because you are the keeper of the animal, and therefore you must always be the first owner on the paperwork.
Exactly.
All right. If you are not the first owner on the paperwork, that is something you need to speak with your breeder in order to actually make sure that you
Mm-hmm.
are. Right.
Too many conflicts and disputes
It,
that can arise out of
leads
that.
to, yeah, it could lead to, and it's important that you do that because the potential is there that you could lead to legal conflict later down the line,
Mm-hmm.
especially if that relationship goes sour. And most legal problems occur when a relationship goes sour.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. When we come into the office, hey, we don't hear people coming into our door and say, "Hey, I just got a freshly bred dog and we're having a really wonderful time." And it says they get along great with the breeder, everything else. Okay. Usually when someone comes over, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're getting things like my breeders, a clown, not reputable, etc.,
You
etc.
know, he's not very serious about it, whatever, and that kind of
Mistreated my
thing.
mistreated my animal or whatever, those types of things.
Mm.
And mistreating, the word mistreating there. Angela does not like. Angela would hung, draw, and quarter a person who mistreats an animal.
Oh,
There are
yes,
many,
capital
many,
punishment first.
yeah, there are many, many ways an animal could be mistreated. Some of those you wouldn't expect.
Slap him on the wrist for a human being, but an animal, capital punishment first.
But as I said, there are many ways you can mistreat an animal. Some are not necessarily in the way that you would necessarily associate with mistreating.
Mhm.
For example, dogs. One of the things about dogs is that they need mothering to a certain age, and it's important that the mother stay with the dog. Because the dog learns to behave because of the way the mother treats the dog.
Yep. And they need to feed off the mother and be near the mother, right? Because it's part of the dog's social development
Yeah,
and
that's
how
the
they
way.
respond to things, how they respond to stressful situations, that sort of thing. Same as cats.
Yeah. So
The
we just
interesting
talked
thing that
about.
I found though, when I remember I had a litter of cats one time, a long time ago. There was a lot of cats. There was about 8 cats or whatever in the litter, and that cat just couldn't milk all of them. One of
Yeah.
my other cats just jumped in and she started milking the balance of them.
Hmm.
Hey, but all the cats came over together and we brought them out and we found them new homes.
Yeah. Okay. So whenever you buy an animal, always make sure that you get a receipt, that you get a proper contract, and you register the animal in your name. And we just talked about co-ownership, but co-ownership, as the keeper of the animal, you should always be in first place on the on the animal ownership certificate, and that should be registered with the association that is for your animal.
Yeah.
Right. So anything else that we need to talk about in relation to animals?
Well, there's lots of interesting things. Well, this breed Pedigree Act is very interesting because we've had quite a few cases using the Pedigree Act. We had a couple of dog cases. We had a horse case. We've had another horse case. I've had a cat case. Hey, I mean, it's very interesting the kinds of cases we've had because of breeding practices or disagreements that arise out of breeding practices and that sort of thing. And the best way to do this is not to try to fight it out. The thing to do is to take it through court.
I would also say that you need to familiarize yourself with the Dog Owners Liability Act in Ontario, because it allows, this basically controls it's about what happens if a dog is designated as dangerous.
Exactly. And this is where there was a number of things, like a few years ago, they banned pit bulls.
Yeah.
I have a very specific dislike for breed-specific bans. Okay? Yeah. You can ban an animal, or you can designate an animal as a dangerous dog, or a dangerous cat, or a dangerous horse, whatever. Okay? Is a dangerous anything. You could. But this has to be based on evidence about the animal, what they've done.
About a specific animal.
Yeah, a specific animal.
Yeah.
But rather than saying, oh, we're not allowing anybody to own a pit bull or allowed to give birth to any new pit bulls or import any pit bulls. I mean, God, I've met many pit bulls. One of them actually came into my office with their owner, and the pit bull just immediately laid down on her back, waiting for me to rub her belly. Such a sweet dog, you know? I mean, these animals, it's how they're treated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And exactly. So, you know, and it's like I've never owned a dog. I wouldn't know how you train a dog.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a dog person, and not everybody is a dog person.
Yeah. And the thing is, how you train a dog matters to how the dog grows up.
Yeah.
How it treats other individuals.
If you're going to get a dog, learn how to deal with a dog.
Yeah.
Learn how to train a dog, how to socialize a dog, how to raise a dog, how to feed the dog, because different kinds of dogs may need different treatments. Yep. Some dogs are more subject to different types of conditions, health conditions, than others. So you have to be very careful.
Yeah, and particularly, you know, the dogs particularly have, I guess, there's a heightened sense of issue with dogs because, you know, cats. You never hear of cats biting anybody, right? I'm sure cats have.
It's happened.
Yeah, I'm sure it's happened, but you don't. It's not a public issue.
Yeah, my cats don't bite anybody. They just crawl beside me and they purr.
Yeah. All right.
But dogs are very different. They're more sociable. They're more extroverted. So this is why you have to be a little more careful.
Yeah. Okay. And the other question is that you, as I say, I remind you that you should go and look up your animal association, like, for example, the Kennel Club of Canada or the Equestrian Canada, and understand what the rules are in relation to the animal that you intend to buy, and work from there.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you want to show your animal, they can also talk to you about how to show your animal.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's big money in some of these things. Oh, you got yourself a purebred animal and you want to travel, hey, this is an opportunity for some people.
Well, maybe if you have the right animal, maybe you can go to the Olympics as a show champion.
Exactly. Exactly.
That possibility always exists. Okay, so been a delight talking to everybody about animals. I love animals.
Me too.
Right. But again, I do not have any animals right now since mine have died, and will probably not have any more animals in my life.
Oh, that's sad.
But that's fine. That's fine.
You can live a whole 20 more years, Peter.
I could.
Yeah, you don't want to have an animal.
Or I could die tomorrow.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you need to contact Invictus Legal, you can do so on 905-688-5598, or email Angela through her email at angela@weareinvictus.legal, or my email is peter@weareinvictus.legal, and our website is weareinvictus.legal. And then it leaves me to kind of introduce this, Angela.
Yep. So what you heard today on Spin Legal, whether on this show or in other shows in our series, this is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, then please contact a paralegal or lawyer who you can work with and answer any questions that are specific to your own concerns. Hope you see us at Invictus Legal, but regardless, do get some legal advice.
Yeah. All right. And have a great week, and we will be back next Tuesday. Thank you.